If there is one thing that the WWE do unlike any other sport in the world, it is their iconic entrances. Now, throughout the years, we have seen some of the most genuinely crazy pyro-filled entrances of all time. And today we're going to be taking a look at every single one of them and figuring out which is the greatest of all time. But before we get into the video, if you guys are not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, as I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. And also make sure to like the video, as it really helps out the channel at this stage. But without further ado, let's see which entrance takes the crown as the greatest WWE entrance of all time. Okay, so we're going in with a very diverse selection. We have Karrion Kross and Scarlett versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, this is really tricky, right? Because Stone Cold Steve Austin is a legend. He has an iconic glass shatter. We don't need to talk about his entrance, right? Purely off an entrance standpoint, purely off just visuals, I think Karrion Kross and Scarlett trump them. I think they have an insanely good entrance. I'm gonna make it a point to not factor in the individuals here, because obviously no matter what Stone Cold Steve Austin does, he's gonna get a crazy pop either way. But I think standalone entrance, you guys are gonna hate me for this, and I'm not even mad about it. I'm going for Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Now we have the Bella Twins and Joe Hendry. Again, very different. Could not be any more different, honestly. Basically, it's his entrance that's got him to where he is now. With the Bella Twins, again, another very iconic entrance. I think purely based off how iconic Joe Hendry's entrance is, we're gonna have to go with Joe Hendry on this one. But it sucks to put the Bellas out this early. Ooh, The Rock and Ricochet. Ricochet does have a great entrance, but you cannot match the aura that The Rock brings with every single entrance. So for that reason, I'm going for The Rock. The Iconics versus Randy Savage. Now, I know they're called the Iconics, but I do not think they have a particularly iconic entrance. And for that reason, I'm gonna have to go with Randy Savage on this one. Aleister Black versus Io Sky. Io Sky's entrance theme, right, might be one of the greatest on this roster right now. I mean, that bass line when it kicks in goes so incredibly hard. But Aleister Black, we're talking Aleister Black here. We're talking the coolest entrance on SmackDown. We're gonna have to go with Aleister Black. The Wyatt Six versus Christian. Again, we have a great song. Christian's Just Close Your Eyes, Hall of Fame song. But the Wyatt Six, like, it's a tribute to Bray Wyatt. We can't disrespect this entrance. This is such a visually spectacular entrance. So to not put that over Christian would be crazy. Cody Rhodes versus R-Truth. Growing up, R-Truth's entrance was maybe one of my favorites. He had such a unique entrance at the time, because obviously he came in with a mic, sings his own entrance, raps his own entrance. No one was doing it like R-Truth back in the day. But we do have the man of the company. We do have Cody Rhodes. We do have Mr. Woe. We do have Mr. Pyro. We do have Mr. Everything. This is so tricky for no reason. I don't know why I'm struggling on this one so much. I mean, we're heavily reliant on Pyro. R-Truth is able to rev up a crowd purely just with a backing track and a microphone. I'll give it to Cody Rhodes purely based on the spectacle of his entrance. But if R-Truth was against anyone else, I promise you I was gonna put R-Truth through. Finn Balor versus The Miz. The Miz, let me tell you about The Miz, right? The Miz is my favorite superstar of all time, and no one can tell me anything. This man on the mic is incredible. This man in ring is in ring. And this man's entrance is so cool for no reason. I don't know. I'm a Miz fan. In terms of Finn Balor's OG entrance, we're not talking about Judgment Day entrance. Finn Balor's OG entrance goes in the Hall of Fame of entrances, and for that reason, we're going with Finn Balor. I mean, yeah, just look at it. When he does that little thing and the whole lights flash, it's just such a good entrance. Jey Uso versus Hulk Hogan. Immediate Jey Uso. Jey Uso gets a whole crowd hype. Who else can get as much crowd involvement from an entrance as Jey Uso? We're gonna have to go Jey Uso on this one. Goldust versus Roman Reigns. Now, over the years, Goldust has had some of the craziest, freakiest, weirdest entrances of all time, and I think that definitely adds to the value of his entrance. However, when Roman Reigns enters, Roman Reigns makes an entrance, and it is known that Roman Reigns is in the building. So for that reason, I feel like it would be wrong to not go for the tribal chief. Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair. This is a pretty easy one for me. Bianca Belair's hype, you know, she's got a little ponytail dance, but Sasha Banks, that OG song before like Snoop Dogg hopped on it, that is such a good and slept on theme song. What was it? Sky's the Limit. That's the one. Sky's the Limit. Top tier, A tier, S tier theme song, and for that reason, Sasha Banks is going through. Toxic Attraction versus Papa Shango. I did really love Toxic Attraction's entrance down on NXT. Papa Shango though is iconic. I think I obviously was not around to live through Papa Shango's era, but I know he was nightmare fuel back in the day, and I'm gonna give Papa Shango this round. Seth freaking Rollins versus Rey Mysterio. OG Rey Mysterio like we got here when he comes flying out the ground, pyro, goes to the left side, pyro, goes to the right side, pyro. That was a crazy entrance. I was able to see it back in 2012. Such a good entrance, but we can't sleep on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has the crowd involvement, dripped out on every entrance, fire, pyro. We're gonna have to give it to Seth Rollins. Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle. I mean, looking at it already, we've got two crazy pyro entrances, crazy amounts of pyro, but I think Shawn Michaels tops it. The pyro in ring, as we can see here, obviously the pyro on the ramp when he does a little kneeling thing. You can't top a Shawn Michaels entrance. Shawn Michaels all the way. MVP versus the Dudley Boys. Again, two great pyro entrances, but MVP, especially when he had the whole inflatable thing, he does a little pose, fireworks, pyro hits. You can't beat an MVP. Godfather versus Brock Lesnar. It has to be Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar shows up very rarely, but when he shows up, he's got the pyro, he's got Paul Heyman by his side. Yeah, I've got nothing else to say. These are two pretty mid entrances on the grand scheme of things, but I'm gonna give it to Brock Lesnar. And finally for this round, we have Penta versus Melina. Now, come on guys. I mean, Melina has the appeal, sure, but Penta's entrance, maybe some of the coolest and most unique pyro out of any entrance. I don't think we've really seen that style of pyro anywhere, so I'm gonna have to give this round to Penta. Okay, we're on the other side of the bracket now. I thought we were gonna get like the matchups of who we've already chosen, but no, we've got the other side of the bracket. Goldberg versus AJ Lee. Song alone, AJ Lee every single day. Let's Light It Up is a banger, but Goldberg with the pyro, maybe one of the best pyro sequences in terms of the little punches and the pyro hitting at the same time. We're gonna have to give that to Goldberg. John Cena versus Chris Jericho. John Cena, man, iconic entrance. Chris Jericho is very cool with the whole Y2K thing, but yeah, you cannot top a John Cena entrance. Becky Lynch versus The Bar. Honestly, for the sake of how cool the entrances are, I don't really care for Becky Lynch's entrance anymore. I feel like it's a bit samey, but The Bar actually showed up with the entrances, so for that reason, I'm gonna have to go for The Bar on this one. The Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. How are you gonna do this to me? This is such a crazy matchup. Two of the spookiest, most iconic, darkest entrances of all time, and I get these two next to each other. I mean, it's The Undertaker at the end of the day. Come on now. We love Bray Wyatt, but it is The Undertaker we're talking about here. Lita versus Bobby Roode. We're talking about a woman from the Attitude Era versus a man who was built purely off his entrance. We have to go Bobby Roode. Ric Flair versus Randy Orton, and it looks like we have the Burn in My Light Randy Orton era. Yeah, we have to go Randy Orton, Burn in My Light. The whole, like, I don't know what you call that pyro, but yeah, it goes crazy every single time. Randy Orton. Adam Rose versus Batista. This is great because, again, Adam Rose, if you put him against a mid-superstar, I choose Adam Rose every time. But we're talking about Batista, the greatest pyro. Look at this video. The amount of pyro this man used up. That's 100k on pyro per show. Batista. Ultimate Warrior versus NWO. Ooh. I mean, this is a bit unfair because we're talking a solo superstar versus a whole faction entrance. NWO faction entrance trumps Ultimate Warrior solo entrance. I'm sorry to say. If we're talking maybe like Scott Hall versus Ultimate Warrior might take it, but NWO on this one. Oscar versus the Hardy Boys. Oscar's great, but it's the Hardy Boys. Sami Zayn versus the Brood. Easiest one yet. The Brood. They had the coolest entrance back in 99, 2000. Eddie Guerrero versus China. Okay, China did have a very cool entrance, I've got to admit, but Eddie Guerrero, man. Eddie Guerrero. The Legion of Doom versus Sarai. Yeah, Legion of Doom. I mean, I'm not really particularly interested in either of them, but we'll go Legion of Doom. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Alberto Del Rio. You know, growing up, Alberto Del Rio maybe had one of my favorite entrances of all time. I don't know if you guys agree, but if we're talking the original SmackDown versus Raw game, games, WWE 12, 2K14, 13, whatever years he was in, it was always so fun to have an entrance that included like a vehicle or something special. And that always excited me with Alberto Del Rio. So I'm going to have to go with Alberto Del Rio in this one. AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre. Theme song, AJ Styles, without a shadow of a doubt. The whole pyro, everything, we're gonna have to give it to Drew McIntyre, purely based on his whole entrance sequence. I feel like AJ Styles is such a good entrance when like his music hits and he's got the little entrance pyro, but Drew has the, sword in the stage. He gets in the ring, sword in the air, fire everywhere. Drew McIntyre. The Shield versus Charlotte Flair. Ooh, I really don't know about this one. The Shield at the time was such a groundbreaking entrance. We never, I mean, there definitely were people before, but we never really saw anyone go through the top of this crowd in this style, like as a faction. I know people definitely have gone through the crowd before, but I feel like the Shield really made it iconic. Ooh, I'm really stuck here. Based off the insane gear we get every time, based off the pyro, based off the sheer aura, we're gonna have to go Charlotte Flair, and this might have been the hardest decision yet today because the Shield are so iconic. Julia versus Trish Stratus. Purely based off an entrance, we're gonna have to give it to Julia. If we're going off theme song, Trish Stratus, but Julia off the entire entrance package. No Way Jose versus Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill's got a really unique concept. I think that lighting concept in the beginning we don't really see anywhere. But No Way Jose was a party we never saw before, and I'm gonna have to go with my man No Way Jose. The Fiend versus Rhea Ripley. Come on now, Rhea Ripley is great, but the Fiend's entrance is one of the best out of the like late 2010s, early 2020s. CM Punk versus Kane. Very easy one again. I mean, this fire burns as an entrance theme. You can't beat a Killswitch Engage theme song, but Kane with the fire in the ring, so good. Sin Cara versus Edge. I mean, look at the pyro again in Edge's entrance. We're talking the trench coat, the pyro, the song, but it's even before the song. As soon as you hear that, you think you know me. Like, shit's about to turn down. Edge every day. Ooh, wow. Triple H versus the Demon Finn Balor. Oh my word. Wow. Wait, okay, hold up. Demon Finn Balor. Well, you can say the same about both, but Demon Finn Balor is such a unique and iconic entrance. But so is Triple H. Oh my god. I wouldn't have minded if this was a finals matchup, but again, this early on. Okay, let's quickly break it down. Triple H comes in, flashing colors, spits out the water, no pyro, sure. Demon Finn Balor comes in crawling, fully makeup, no pyro, but he has a light show, looking spooky as ever. Triple H's is a lot more iconic and memorable, and it pains me to go for Triple H on this one. John Morrison versus Naomi. Naomi has such a good and fun entrance. I mean, she doesn't anymore, but she did back in 2018, 2019, 2020. But John Morrison with the slow-mo, with the pyro, we're gonna have to go with John Morrison on this one. The New Day versus MNM. The New Day every day. The New Day have such a good entrance. Okay, we're getting into the nitty-gritty now. D-Generation X versus Karrion Kross and Scarlett is gonna have to be DX on this one. I'm sorry. Joe Hendry versus The Rock. Joe Hendry's a meme. Joe Hendry's entrance is a meme. There's not much else to say on it. The Rock is pure aura, pure vibes, guitar solos. The Rock. Randy Savage, Aleister Black. Easy Aleister Black on this one. The Wyatt Six versus Cody Rhodes. I do love a spooky entrance, and I think the Wyatt Six is so unique. We're gonna have to go for the Wyatt Six on this one. Finn Balor versus Jey Uso. Okay. Again, like I said, no one can get the crowd as hype as Jey Uso has been able to do in this past year. So for that reason, we have to go Jey Uso. Roman Reigns versus Sasha Banks. Give me Roman Reigns. Papa Shango, Seth Rollins. Seth freaking Rollins. Shawn Michaels MVP. I mean, this is a pyro off, and I think when we get to the finals, there's going to be a lot of pyro offs. I think Shawn Michaels definitely wins this pyro off. Despite MVP having some great pyro, we're going to have to go with the iconic Shawn Michaels. Brock Lesnar versus Penta Zero Miedo. Now, like I said, Brock Lesnar is a very dominating entrance. Like, when Brock Lesnar shows up, it's usually at a pay-per-view, namely WrestleMania, and his entrance kicks ass every single time. But we're talking about about Penta. We're talking about pyro. We've never even really seen spinning pyro we're talking about here. And for that reason, Penta's going to make it through to the next round. Goldberg versus John Cena. Okay, now let me talk about Goldberg's a little bit more before I make a decision here. The two things I love about Goldberg's entrance. A is that we get to see a backstage look before he comes out, which definitely prior to 2000, that was something we never saw. Like, we never got to see Gorilla. We never got to see backstage at all pretty much, except for obviously what they wanted to show us. But again, we're talking about John Cena. We're talking about the most iconic entrance of all time. John Cena has to make it through. The Bar versus The Undertaker. Come on now. Come on, guys. Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton. We have an entrance that made Bobby Roode versus an entrance that's just good. So we're going to go with Randy Orton. Batista versus NWO. I have a bit of a fear here. And the fear is it's going to be very, very hard to take down Batista in this tournament. And with that being said, Batista through to the next round. Hardy Boys versus The Brood. Ooh. I mean, we're talking the same era of superstars. Yeah, The Brood. The Brood is such an iconic entrance. Give me The Brood. Eddie Guerrero versus the Legion of Doom. Easy Eddie Guerrero. Alberto Del Rio versus Drew McIntyre. We're gonna have to give this to Alberto Del Rio. There is no superstar that I have thought back in the day was... I believed his gimmick so much back in the day. I thought this man had bread. I thought Homeboy was a billionaire. And that was mainly down to his entrance. So I'm gonna give it to Alberto Del Rio. Charlotte Flair versus Julia. Easy Charlotte Flair for me. No Way Jose versus The Fiend. Give me The Fiend. Kane versus Edge. Wow. Okay. Ooh. I think purely based off the hype level that can be achieved from either of these entrances, Kane is great, but the level of hype that Edge can bring, the amount of adrenaline to the audience that Edge's entrance can bring might be untopped. We're going to give this round to Edge. Don't get me wrong, this was an incredibly tricky decision, but we're going to go with Edge. Triple H versus John Morrison. Give me Triple H. The New Day versus D-Generation X. Maybe top two factions of all time, honestly. But give me D-Generation X purely for the pyro. The Rock versus Aleister Black. Aura versus Darkness. If we're talking strictly who has the coolest entrance, give me Aleister Black. The Wyatt Six versus Jey Uso. Again, I feel like it's a bit unfair when we get a faction versus a solo superstar. However, Jey Uso can hold up here. Okay, let me just quickly think here. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jey Uso. The Wyatt Six is a bit long, a bit lengthy. Like they're just kind of replicating Bray Wyatt's entrance, which I know was the whole point. But give me Jey Uso. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. If we're talking about standalone entrance, they've got a bit of pyro, but obviously nowhere near as much pyro as back in the day. Their entrances aren't crazy, like purely off just an entrance motion sequence type vibe. Neither of them have that much substance to their entrance. I think I definitely will factor in when they come in with people. So obviously Roman and the Bloodline, Seth and his new Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker faction. We're gonna have to go with the Roman Reigns. If we're thinking back to prime Bloodline entrances, they went crazy every single time. And finally, in the round of 32, we have Shawn Michaels versus Penta. Give me Shawn Michaels. I mean, once Penta's whole like fire thing at the beginning has calmed down, there's not really much to his entrance, but Shawn Michaels will put on a show all the way down to the ring, and as we see, even still in the ring. So give me Shawn Michaels. All right, we're on the round of 16, which I think is basically the quarterfinals. I might be wrong here, but we've got John Cena versus The Undertaker. Purely off entrances, the dark, dingy, scary, eerie vibe The Undertaker produces with the smoke, with the bells, with the darkness, just cannot be topped. And I think no matter how we look at it, Undertaker trumps John Cena's entrance. Randy Orton versus Batista. Like I said, it is going to take so much to take down Batista. I'm going to have to go with Batista very easily here. The Brood versus Eddie Guerrero. This video that I keep on seeing of The Brood just reminds me how cool The Brood's entrance really was. So we're going to have to go with The Brood on this one. Alberto Del Rio versus Charlotte Flair. On the grand scheme of all of these, we have kind of ended up with two mid entrances here. I am very aware of that. Give me Charlotte Flair, honestly. The Fiend versus Edge. Again, there's an extra hype level that comes with the Edge's entrance. And as much as the Fiend's is a very cool and like spooky vibe, I think the hype that Edge brings just cannot be topped, honestly. Triple H versus D-Generation X. Now, this is basically Triple H versus Triple H. Which Triple H is better? I think this speaks volumes on Triple H as an individual, honestly. You're gonna have... Ooh, wait. I am thinking back to all of Triple H's WrestleMania entrances. You know, think WrestleMania 33, think WrestleMania 34. When I say this is impossible, I genuinely mean this is so tricky. I'm looking at both of these. I cannot for the life of me pick one. You know what? Let me know in the comments who you choose between Triple H and D-Gen X. I might even have to like flip a coin at this point. Give me Triple H. Give me Triple H. Aleister Black versus Jey Uso. Give me Aleister Black. Roman Reigns, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, a much more thrilling, exhilarating entrance. We're gonna have to go with Shawn Michaels on this. I was waiting for something like this to show up. These are the two that I cannot budge. These are the two that I cannot pick between. I physically don't know how to pick between Undertaker and Batista. Okay, let me just think. If we had Undertaker versus Batista, which I'm pretty sure that happened at like WrestleMania 23 or something. Whose entrance am I more likely to sit through? Whose entrance am I more excited for? We have Undertaker, the bell, everything goes dark, comes in slowly, fire, creepy guys dressed in black, very, very slow walk to the ring. And now Batista, we're talking straight in, heavy rock, metal theme song, downstate. Oh wait, is it downstate? No, it's Saliva. Saliva theme song. Goes straight in with the pyro, title around his waist every single time. For the sake of being iconic, we're gonna have to go The Undertaker, honestly. As much as it pains me to get rid of Batista's entrance, we're gonna have to take The Undertaker. Okay, it turns out we are officially in the quarterfinals now. And with that being said, we have a very, very simple one, honestly. We have the Brood versus Charlotte Flair. Give me the Brood. Let's go. Edge versus Triple H. Give me Edge. Aleister Black versus Shawn Michaels. Give me Shawn Michaels. And finally, we are on to the semi-finals. Undertaker versus the Brood. Two spooky entrances, two creepy entrances, fire, not really any pyro, but you know, a lot of flames, a lot of smoke. Give me the Undertaker. Give me the Undertaker. Edge versus Shawn Michaels. Give me Edge. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment we have all been waiting for. But before I make my final decision, I want you all to put in the comments right now who you would choose out of the Undertaker or Edge. Or maybe there's a superstar that I eliminated way earlier on that you think should have made it to the finals. So let me know in the comments who you think from this tournament has the best entrance of all time. And if you made it this far, make sure to hit that like button as it helps out my channel so much. And as always, subscribe as I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Now, on to Undertaker versus Edge. Who's more iconic? The Undertaker. Who has the most energy in their entrance? That has to be Edge. I mean, when we're talking energy, when we're talking hype entrances, Edge is so hard to beat. Guys, I think I have an official winner. Now, the winner of the greatest entrance of all time in the WWE is going to none other than The Undertaker, the dead man himself. Wow. I mean, could I have predicted it? Maybe. I mean, I did have very high hopes for Batista. I did have very high hopes for Edge. Yeah, there we have it. Undertaker officially takes the crown as the greatest entrance of all time in the WWE. Anyways, that will be it for today's video. Thank you so much if you have made it all this way. It means a lot to me that you've even sat through 20 minutes of my video. If you are not subscribed yet to the Redway channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll be seeing you very soon in another Redway video. So until next time, peace.